What's up, peeps? Julian Williams here at the distance. Got a video for you guys. Prediction for the upcoming fight between Tony Thompson and Wladimir Klitschko. That takes place on July 7th for the WBO, WBA, IBF, and Ring Magazine Heavyweight Championship. Puts together the challenger against the champion. The challenger Tony Thompson against Wladimir Klitschko for the second time. So, what happened was Tony Thompson was supposed to be in a eliminator against Eddie Chambers. Chambers pulled out of the fight due to injury like last October. So what happened was Tony Thompson ended up becoming the mandatory to the belt of Wladimir Klitschko, and we all know the IBF takes their mandatory opponents very seriously. So now we have a rematch between Tony Thompson and Wladimir Klitschko, in which now what we have is Wladimir Klitschko, who's been the dominant champion over the last couple years, and seems becoming more of I believe, a stronger fighter as time progresses. But on the other hand, you have Tony Thompson, who's pretty much the same fighter he was in 2008. He hasn't faced the competition that would help him do better in the fight against Wladimir Klitschko, but the advantage that he has is that he's been in the ring against Wladimir before, and maybe he'll do something differently in this one. But being that he's a southpaw, and I'll begin with Wladimir Klitschko. I'll begin with Tony Thompson. Being that he's a southpaw, of course, he has to jab, and he has to move a lot towards his right in this fight, because he's not gonna be able to avoid Vladimir's jab, because Wladimir moves well and he throws a lot of jabs off the front foot, and Wladimir, for a big guy, moves well laterally. But Tony Thompson has to come in and he has to utilize his own gifts. He has to try to keep Wladimir at the end of his jab. He has a longer reach, as far as I know. I want to say he's not much shorter than Wladimir. So the problem that Tony Thompson has is he stands right in front of his opponent. And especially against a Klitschko, that's perfect. And also being that Wladimir has that deadly right hand, and has a sharp left hook, like pretty much like going into the fight, Tony Thompson has everything to lose, being that he's a southpaw, and Vladimir's best punches are punches that will land on a southpaw. So in this one, he has to try to keep Wladimir at the end of a jab and try to catch him with a few left hands. And from time to time in the first fight, Thompson was slipping in a few left hands, and not too many, and Wladimir kind of adjusted to it and got to the point where Wladimir found his rhythm and knocked him out later in the fight. And also, I think he did hurt his knee or something like that later on. But just in this fight, he has to move a lot more. He has to jab a lot more. He has to throw the left hand a lot more, because like in that first fight, I just remember him not jabbing enough and just standing right in front of Wladimir. And then over the years, looking at him face like your Owen Becks and Maurice Harris caliber fighters, he's just standing right in front of him, squaring up with him. And you can't square up with Wladimir Klitschko, because Wladimir Klitschko is strong enough to where his right hand is probably going to get in between the guard, or the left hook is going to get right on the outside of the guard. So this one, he has to move a lot. He has to try to keep Wladimir at the end of his shots. And that's pretty much the only way I could say that Tony Thompson could win this fight, is trying to keep Wladimir at the end of a jab and catching him sneaking in a few left hands. On the other hand, you have Wladimir Klitschko, who does well working off the jab, has a good, sharp, straight right hand, has a sharp left hook, and just overall, for a big fighter, as I mentioned before, he moves well laterally. He fights well off that front foot. He can fight off the back foot as well. And so in this fight against Tony Thompson, I think in the early rounds, I think Wladimir needs to go for it. I think Wladimir needs to go for the knockout early in this fight, because, as I mentioned, I don't see any changes in Thompson. And also, Thompson's getting older. Thompson's been quite inactive, and hasn't faced the best opponents. And Wladimir, on the other hand, hasn't faced the best opponents neither. Of course, he had the fight with David Haye, and David Haye's pretty good, but the thing with Wladimir is, as I mentioned, Vladimir's gotten stronger over the years, and he's gotten smarter. And I don't see that same I don't see the same thing with Tony Thompson. What I see with Tony Thompson is a fighter that is just went in and fought over the last couple years, and I think he fought Chaz Witherspoon as well. I just think he's a guy who got in the ring, fought whoever he had to fight, and got himself in line. But also Vladimir's been facing opponents that are decent and solid, and just dominated them. And I don't see Thompson dominating opponents the way that Wladimir has dominated opponents. But just in this fight, Wladimir needs to do a lot of stepping around and jabbing. Jabbing Thompson from different directions, different angles, and try to hit him with the right hand from different angles in this fight. I wouldn't necessarily try to throw the straight right hand, square it up with him squared up with me, because it could be blocked, and then being that Thompson's a southpaw, he can get that left hand in a little more easily. But I just do a lot of stepping around, jabbing, slapping a lot of shots down with the left or right hand, and coming over the top with a left hook or a straight right hand, and just going in there and also I would just go in there and just go for it. In this fight, I think that this is the fight to where Wladimir can just go for it against Thompson. As I mentioned before, Thompson's older. He's older. He started late. He hasn't been in the ring with the best competition, and he doesn't seem to have improved over time. He probably has more experience, but he just has not improved over time, which makes me say that Wladimir Klitschko goes in, knocks him out in probably about 11 rounds. So I'm going with Wladimir knockout in 11, maybe less than that. So let me know what you think. That was The Distance, and thanks for watching, peeps. I'm out of here.